This podcast is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Caught my first Bama bass today. Got to experience kind of like the evolution of Fothergill, kind of his next chapter, where that kind of went down, or where that homestead is, and your new house here, out in the sticks. What do they call it out here in the sticks? What do the locals call where you live right now?
Clanton.
But like, there's like if this were in a valley, they'd be like, he's over in that holler over there. Or don't people talk like that anymore? Have times changed?
It's just Coosa River, man.
Coosa River beauty.
Coosa River Valley. I think it's a real thing, maybe.
Absolutely. And I just didn't take you for a cat kidnapper.
I didn't either, as much as I hate cats.
Did Wesley even know it was gone?
No.
I suppose it'll just dip out for like
Yeah, it's an outdoor cat.
a couple days. So for everybody who doesn't know, who do you live nearby to?
I live about 100 yards from Wesley Gore.
Wesley Gore. So you've got a dangerous block, would you say?
Yeah, we do our fair share of keeping the bass in check.
Yeah, and how far is Lay Lake from here?
The nearest ramp is 15 minutes.
15. That's about what it was, and that beeswax place is money. But it seems like the culture down here, you don't have a group of walleye guys close by. Like, it's bass fishing.
Oh, if you're fishing
Dude.
and you're fishing for bass around here.
This is like, it's like NASCAR. It's big. It's big time. And you mentioned how often and how pressured, Lay Lake gets, and I think that's super interesting because, that's not something we deal with in Minnesota. Like, we could drive 10 minutes and hit a new bass destination. I guess, like, is that hard to go back to now?
No, it's awesome to go back to now.
I believe
It's a
dude.
breath of fresh air.
Do you miss down here when you go up there, though?
I do. Yeah, it's like I miss Minnesota when I'm here, and I miss here when I'm at Minnesota.
I guess there's people who aren't built for here, fishing-wise. Have you noticed that? Like, it's not fun, so they don't want to do it. They would rather fish up north. I think Charlie Wright's that way, for example, right? And there's a lot of people who give up on that dream, so to speak, of going pro, if you will, or what have you, just due to how much tougher or how much less fun fishing is to them. And I guess, how is that different for you? And I guess what in your mind do you have to change in how you perceive or how you think about things to, succeed down here and, have the mentality that it doesn't necessarily suck or, make it fun?
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely a little bit of a mental shift coming from Minnesota, and I could see, in a sense, you could, I don't know, lose hope maybe, I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but I mean, to answer your question, the fishing is no doubt way different. Like, it's a huge learning curve, and we saw that when I first came here. I got my teeth kicked in, time after time, and it just took a while for me to get the wheels turning. I don't know exactly, I can't really put into words what the puzzle pieces are exactly, but I think the biggest thing was just confidence and just time under my belt, understanding, what happens when, if this happens, go here, and just kind of how to move around the South, I guess. So it's just took some time and, a lot of effort and a lot of just keeping an open mind and, trial and error and just, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, all the northern tactics play down here, no doubt. I still have the same fishing style I grew up with. It's just learning how to apply it in the South, definitely takes some time.
Well, and I think what's unique about you, and I've talked to a few people about this, is you grew up in probably the best. If you're going to grow up in a spot in Minnesota that's going to kind of maybe prepare you for fishing south, at least in like the clean water Highland Reservoir sense. It's Pokegama. It's Grand Rapids, and I think, and also I think how Gordon fished. I think that really probably didn't hurt in terms of you kind of being able to adjust to the more pelagic nature of the South.
Yeah, I mean, growing up with fishing with my dad, and he's a multi-species guy. He's not just a bass, not just a walleye. I just grew up doing so many different things. And as I got older and more heavy into the bass side of things, it was the same way. We were never, on Pokegama, throwing super finesse stuff all the time. We'd go to the river and go flipping and go frogging and just always trying something new and always exploring new things. And that's just solely one of the main reasons why I got to where I'm at today, is just being so versatile at a young age. It allowed me to get ahead of the game at, a very early stage in my life, I feel like. So, yeah, I mean, super grateful for my dad to kind of instill that mindset that, I just got off a different podcast, but one of the lines I said that my dad kind of put into me was, I can't have a technique be my strength. My strength has to be versatility. And that's something that he taught me at a super young age. If I feel like I'm not confident in a technique, I'm going to do everything it takes to make sure that, I will be confident in that thing, because I can't have any holes in my game. And I knew that, as I was growing up, if I wanted to ever get to the big stage, that you can't be that guy that's like, oh, I don't like doing this. I don't really like throwing that. Like, I'm a guy, if I'm getting bit, I'm a happy fella. So, and that's all it comes down to.
That makes sense. And I think new techniques or new baits can be intimidating. I think everybody can attest to, especially like, in the earlier part of getting into bass fishing, I think everyone can attest to always kind of reverting back to a lure that they're comfortable with or confident in. And I guess and I think we can all attest that we've picked up a new lure, thrown it for 3 casts, and never picked it up again. And I think, like, looking at the serious anglers, I look at guys like Noah, I look at guys like you. I feel like I'm that way with techniques, even though I haven't, brought it as far. What's your process for, learning a new technique, and like, what does it take? And what's your advice for somebody who, like, what does it take?
I mean, I can think for me, like, I've used this example many times, but a crankbait, I used to hate a crankbait, but literally there was a time where I took almost everything out of my boat except crankbaits, and I went out fishing, and it forced me to throw a crankbait. And I mean, the only way you're going to get confidence in a technique is getting bit, catching fish doing that technique. So I just put a bunch of crankbaits in my boat and just went out and learned how to apply it to different situations and different covers. And just, yeah, I mean, that's what it takes at times to make sure that you're dialed in on a technique that you may not feel comfortable in. And, I've done that with a couple different techniques. Rattle trap is something I used to not have any confidence in. I did the same thing there. I'd had a couple areas that, they were in some grass and I knew they were there, and, I'd throw a chatterbait or something, get a bite, and I'm like, okay, the fish are here, and then I'll throw a trap, and I'll be like, I'll just learn the ways of fishing it. Okay, I take some grass, oh, there's a bite, and that's kind of when the light bulb goes off, and the confidence just grows from there.
I think there's maybe a little nugget there that might help somebody who is struggling to just pick it up and keep it in their hand all day, and that's, locating an area that's target rich, with some life in it, with a confidence bait.
Right. That's probably the best way to go about it, honestly, is a lot of us have, a favorite spot, and, we just love to go throw a 6XD or something. We just know some fish are there, and say you don't have confidence in a football jig. You're going to go throw your 6XD that you love throwing. Okay, they're still here. And that's when you pick up that football jig that you're trying to learn and just drag, and oh, there's a bite. And then you can take in, okay, I pulled it over this rock, or I
The Gray Series has been one of the hottest swim baits in Japan. Now, The all-new Grace 210L is here, available at Thorne Bros.
Stroked it this way, or just, you know what I mean? And then that's kind of when the light bulb goes off and you can just grow from there.
Dude, that makes perfect sense. And here's the deal, like, it might not be the best day for a crankbait, but you're going to learn the windows that they do and don't bite it if you're willing to keep it in your hand.
You'd be amazed. All you need is a couple different bites, you know, on a certain technique, and all of a sudden it's kind of in your arsenal. All it takes is
It's like a light bulb.
Yeah, you just need a handful of bites. You're like, oh, okay, like that's how this goes down, and then you have confidence in it.
But see, here's the thing, like, there's from getting confidence to keeping throwing it, I agree with you. But, like, to think that you know how to throw it completely, like, it depends on the bait, in my opinion. Because, dude, and there's people who are much better at that than others, right? And you are one of the best, in my mind, at picking up a bait and, like, mixing up that retrieve quick enough to understand what works the best pretty dang quick. And it's I think that's the hard thing. It's like when you pick up bait, when you pick up a crankbait, you don't just, like, go crank it around all day. Like, how's it feel in your hand? Are you banging it into stuff? Is it, you know, are you 45ing, or are you 90 degreeing, or are you paralleling, or are you throwing out at 45 and out? Like, there's a lot to it, right? So it's like, I think what makes you special, and we've talked about this a lot, is you're the best I've ever seen at paying attention. And when you have a new bait in your hand, I think you're the best at paying attention and understanding, you know, mixing something up to, you know, feel that out, dude. And that's, I guess, I've gotten to see that firsthand, and it's been, you know, really cool to watch. Very fast learner, if you will.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that, but it's just my imagination is so far and wide that, I mean, it's just, you know, I throw something in the water, I'm like, that doesn't look natural, or that doesn't imitate the forage I'm looking towards, and I'll tweak it, and then, I'll alternate that bait to get it how I feel, you know. Say a threadfin, I want to make it look like how I feel a threadfin would swim given the situation. So, I mean, that's just kind of stuff that's going through my head when I throw something in the water, and yeah, I mean, just trying to make it the best I can make it look.
And I remember us talking about that in, like, a previous podcast with you mentioning, like, a minnow on a jig head, and it's not necessarily about it doing just this one thing. It's more so about, you know, the forage you're imitating, and different forage swims different, flickers different, you know, what have you. And I think threadfin is probably one of the most common forage bases in America if you're not from Minnesota. And I guess in your mind, how does a threadfin swim, and what are you kind of looking for in a bait, or what are some tendencies that you look for, you know, when looking at a shad versus, say, a herring?
Herring are a lot more streamlined fish. They have a lot more side-to-side action. It's more of a shimmy, I would say. Threadfin, they can be a lot more erratic. If you troll into a school of threadfin shad, you're going to see a lot more flickering than you'll see herring. And
Sure.
that's where the rolling minnows come from, is that flickering that you see. That's what is imitating it. When the minnows are rolling, you know, the sunlight will shine off the minnows, and you get that flickering kind of, you know, illusion almost.
Sure.
But a herring is, you know, almost always, they're super streamlined. They move horizontal a lot more than a threadfin. The herring don't want to go, like, vertical up and down as much.
Sure. So they're more.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it comes down to understanding just how the forage moves, you know, at least to a basic level, and that can help you alternate your baits.
Okay, and, like, so, like, and that just makes me think this 210L would be really good in herring country.
I mean, it definitely could be.
Which one would you, like, which one is herring to you? Like, which color is herring to you? Like, that looks super herring-ish to me, but it depends how clean the water is, I suppose. When I think of herring, I think of clean
I'm
water.
picking that one.
That one, yeah.
I don't know what color is that.
Garajas. That is color number 03. Garajas.
Yeah, if I was to throw him, it'd probably be that color.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That makes sense.
But
And the speed of like a threadfin versus a herring, I guess, is there like a big difference? Because that's what I've learned. Like you come to the south, and they like the bait moves so much faster than like than it does up north, like just straight up. So it seems like there's a different way, or there's aspects to how you're fishing them. But like, do you notice the speed difference between the two, or are they both pretty? Depends what's chasing me, I suppose. That's how fast I'm gonna run.
yeah, I mean it's all conditional and what's happening. I mean, herring spawn. The herring. Sometimes they're moving, sometimes they're not. It's all about when you catch them, I guess. So, but no, they can both move extremely fast, like you said, when they choose to. So, but no, I can't tell you the conditions like, oh, the herring are gonna be moving today, kind of thing. So, yeah, it's just all timing, I guess.
You know what else moves really fast? Mr. Fothergill on the foot pedal.
Happy covering some water.
There's not much for brakes in your boat. I noticed you put the poles down a couple times today, knowing that you weren't going to touch bottom, but just to slow you down a bit, maybe? Or were you trying to touch bottom? Or
No,
maybe a log?
Yeah, I was slowing down.
Oh, is that a thing like you would do on like fork or something? Like put the poles down to just grab the tree?
I
Behind you?
didn't specifically do that, no, but you definitely could. As many trees are in that place, you definitely could.
Like, would that be... Because, like, stealthiness, I mean, can be effective sometimes. Like, would that be more stealthy or less? Like, I could see, like, that tree moving around.
I don't know,
being
tearing
less
down a
stealthy.
forest is probably not too stealthy.
They'd be like, see that tree moving over there, Bill? The hell is that?
I don't know.
They redamming the lake?
But it's funny you say that because I'll be looking at a fish on scope, and like when you put the poles down, if they're touching something, they're making a racket. Like they're super loud, and usually that's not what spooks the fish. It's them seeing the boat that spooks the fish, which is really interesting.
So if they're faced the other way, so
like I'm not saying it very well may like turn their mood off, like they know something's there once that happens, but they don't like scurry off most of the time, which is kind of interesting.
That is interesting. And like, are you determining that? Like, if it sees the boat, to me, the only way to know that is if it's facing it or engages with you.
There's a lot of them that can sense the boat. Like, they just feel something. It's like, I don't know. But, I mean, they're close. I mean, they're 20 feet away from you, and they just start swimming off. Like, they know you're...
Swimming away. That makes sense. Like, when they directly just swim away. But how do you know it's because they saw you versus felt you? For the reason they swam off, I guess, is like...
I guess I've always just assumed because they both happen roughly at the same distance away.
I got you.
So...
That makes sense.
I don't know. I feel like there's, like, a circumference around your boat that, like, fish are aware... Whenever they hit that, I mean, it's different every lake you go to when they hit that certain distance.
And I'm sure it depends on clarity, right? Water clarity.
No, definitely.
For the most part. Yeah. And maybe pressure.
Pressure, sunny versus cloudy. I mean.
But as a general average, what would you label the circumference for feet, if you were to guess? And understanding that live scope feet and regular feet might be a little different, but...
I'm going to say 2 boat lengths.
2 boat lengths.
40 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Average. Sometimes it's 80 feet. Sometimes you can vertical jig them.
Right. What was an example, like, what would be like a lake that it was 80 feet?
Say St. Lawrence, Lake Ontario.
Got it.
Lake Ontario might be 100 feet.
What do you do? So what do you do in that situation? What do you do to combat that?
Bump your range out and downside your line. Make sure you can cast as far as you possibly can.
Got it. So then you're you're targeting them further away in that 80 to 100.
A lot of the fish you had to, there's some areas where it seemed like they might have been less pressured and they're a lot dumber, it seemed like. And it could have been, I mean, these are like miles and miles apart, but same system. So it could be just different conditions. But I don't know, it was kind of interesting. You'd look at one section of the lake, they'd act one way, and then you go to a different section and they act a different way.
I noticed that on Mille Lacs, and I feel like on Mille Lacs it might be just boat pressure or how many boats are around or you know. But Mille Lacs, it's like you can move not that far away and get bit versus over here you can't. And to me, I think it's pressure.
Probably.
But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that makes sense. Do you think that's going to keep, that range is going to continue to grow? Or is there a range they just don't know you're there? Like that range will grow. Like that range ain't getting smaller, bro.
I don't think it's getting smaller, but I mean, like Ontario, I know 6 years ago the range was 100 feet. I know Ontario. I mean, I've watched how many pieces of footage have we watched of the Johnston sight fishing one right next to the boat?
100%.
Which they still do because they're the best ever. But I like St. Clair, for example. We went there last year. Those fish did not care about the boat. I don't know how many I caught 20 feet away from the boat. And that's crystal clear water, one of the most pressured live scope fisheries in the country. Those fish still don't care about the boat. And honestly, they're curious about the boat. They'll come to you.
It's funny you say that because I was just talking to Luke Lamb, and he was saying if the fish is swimming towards him and it's within 50 foot of the boat, he won't throw at it. He'll wait till it gets past the boat and throw back at it, and he finds he can catch that fish if he doesn't throw at it. And like almost the fish is curious about the boat, and if it doesn't get thrown at, it's okay with the boat. Type of theory.
Depends on the fishery.
Okay.
Some fisheries 100% agree. Some fisheries I'm still throwing at it. It all depends.
I got you. Would you say the tougher fisheries you do that? Yes, or I would. It seems like spots or smallies. That makes sense to me. I don't know about largies though.
It depends. All three species.
Have you seen the largies act kind of curious in nature with the boat, almost like smallmouth?
100%. 100%. There's a lot of times where I'll see fish that I'm not sure if they're bass or not, and I'll like roll over them with the boat, and they'll come look at the boat, and I'm like, that's the indicator, like, all right, they're bass, and I can leave. And that's happened a lot of times with largemouth, like especially Florida. That's happened a lot of times in Florida.
In Florida?
Mm-hmm.
That would not be the place I would guess.
I can remember a couple of different instas in college with Nick where we had some fish on like a shell bar, for example, and they wouldn't bite. We were just like, we weren't sure, and we got close enough, and then sure enough, they came scurrying. They're on the bottom. They got under the boat, and then they came up to look at the trolling motor, and we're like, yeah. And then we just marked a waypoint and left.
What'd you do when you went back?
I think that was the event. We wrecked him on a glide bait first day of the tournament.
Cool.
On Toho.
Cool.
Yeah. I think it was that spot.
How important do you think it is to, like, let's say you stick one of those fish, 2 of those fish, 5 of those fish, or 0 of those fish? How, like, what do you think about what that does? How does that affect what happens when you go there tournament day, like in your mind?
To me, every fish I hook in practice, I'm upset about. Like, I don't care if it's a 2-pounder. I'm like, dang, that's a 2-pounder I could have in the tournament. So I do my very best to pull fish enough to where I know what I'm looking at, whether it's with my eyes or on scope, and then that's good enough for me. You know, even if it's a 1.5 pounder, and I know it doesn't mean much to me. I'm like, there's a bass there, and, you know, put a waypoint, and I'll do more investigating tournament day.
Well, and then the nice thing is, like, curious enough, they engage with your bait if they're a bass, usually, right?
Usually.
So my question is like, what other species engage with your bait like that, or as commonly?
Drum.
Drum.
Drum will catfish a lot of times.
Got it. Stripers.
Stripers, yep.
Got it.
So, really the only one that usually will never, I mean, very rarely is a carp. Gar still acknowledge you a lot. But, I mean, they're easy to distinguish, but...
You just got to nail weight the corn for the carp. Thread some rubber through it.
Yeah. Pretty much.
You got any more of these ultras?
Go ahead.
I'll leave it $1 for every ultra.
What if I told you they're not mine? Go get them.
That makes me feel really bad about this.
Hey, I know the guy.
That's what you get, Cal.
Yeah, exactly.
He had something scheduled tonight. He ditched us.
Yeah, Calvin. Spencer Culpepper.
Man. I gotta be honest. I think I'm doing a really good thing. I couldn't imagine him drinking all of those himself. He'd die. Like,
You know, they ain't mine.
I know. So, like, dude, that's almost an unhealthy amount of beer in the fridge. Like, that, like, he can't drink all those himself. He can't talk to his mother after drinking all of those himself. He does. But maybe he's a tank. I mean, some people just have that gift. I'm not one of them.
I don't know about that.
Cal Naughton Jr. Cal Culpepper doesn't know who Dante Culpepper is?
I'm sure he does.
I don't know, man. It didn't seem like he did. Like, call your cousin Dante. And he didn't even get it.
No.
No. And I didn't get to look at his hands to see if, like, they're as small as Dante's were. And if he would fumble the football as often.
Probably.
See, okay. He's got little hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Soft, too. He's got soft hands.
Sorry you couldn't join us to defend yourself, Cal.
Yeah, Cal.
No, but I think it was really just... I love watching... Like, there's nothing easy about Lay Lake. I noticed that today, right? And it's like kind of like when I was at Biwa. Like, there's nothing easy about Biwa. And I think there's something special about the guys who want to crack that code, right? And who welcome that challenge. And I think fishing's tough if you're from Minnesota to understand, like, yeah, you want to be a pro fisherman. Are you ready to welcome that challenge? That is, to me, like, that's not talked enough in pro fishing, like, for Minnesota folk. Like, there's a little bit of a harsh reality there, dude. You hear, like, a slight buzzing?
I do. Is it the wash machine?
It's okay, then.
I think the door's shut.
He does do laundry, folks.
I do that.
He does do laundry.
Did it just quit?
No, you didn't need to stop it.
Did it just quit, though?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll have to do a stand
Voice activated.
Yeah. What were you saying?
Honestly, I forgot. Which won't be the last time. But what do you think of that thing? I like the hook in it.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing I noticed with that thing. I like the hook in it. And that's a sneaky little devil that the boys and I were playing with. And catching some smallmouth with that trailer. And then Issei also makes a trailer called the Han trailer. Those little breaks there seem to slow the bait down, help it float better. So you could throw like a size heavier, it seems like, and kind of float it like you would, if you were to have to throw one size lighter with those kind of things that catch, kind of slow the bait down. And that's, I think, just something beautiful about a jig is how you can, manipulate that thing with just the simplicity of a trailer.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think, dude, with the fuzzy craze and stuff like that, I think that's the next low-key thing coming down the pipe is, various small jigs and, different, thoughts on strolling, putting different things through the water column with different actions, whether it's more reactive or more finesse, bigger or smaller, gayer or straighter. Not that there's anything wrong with either. Harder or softer.
Yeah.
That wasn't meant to go down a more sexual path either. But yeah, dude, I think it's just gonna get things are gonna continue to. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on this. But I feel like things are gonna change just faster, and I think more bipolarly.
I agree. Yeah, it's gonna
change faster more often. You're gonna have to do more things throughout a single day. You're gonna have to do more things through a single bite window. And you're going to have to do more bipolar things, more finessey and more reactive. Bigger and smaller. And I think it's, and if you say one is right, you're wrong. If you say one is wrong, you're wrong.
Right. I mean, I think that fits with me. I mean, you saw how I rolled today.
Yeah, dude.
I can't do one thing we're out in the middle, we're throwing a swim jig.
I loved that, dude, because it was a tougher day on lay. And, the most insane thing would have been to do the same thing and not do any better.
That's just it. Don't ever fish insane.
And I don't feel like we fished insane today.
No. And we talked on the way back, we had enough clues to probably dial us into a bite, but, I wanted to catch one on some jig, so
Dude, you're allowed to do that.
Right.
Let's not forget, in Minnesota, you can do a lot of things, but one thing's for sure in Minnesota, you can go do what you want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if you, have that luxury, so when you can do something you want to do, you should go do it sometimes.
Yeah. We had fun.
I wanted to see it, too, in action. It was kind of a, for those who don't know, we fished the place where the Alabama swim jig technique, the Alabama shake, was invented. There's a band named Alabama Shakes. Did you know that?
Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm. I feel like your next swim jig infomercial should feature the Alabama Shakes. I wonder if they're actually from... If they're from, here, then I'd be very curious. But, that shaking technique with the swim jig is, super common down here, right? A lot of people do it.
Everyone does it.
Everyone does it. It's an industry standard. It's like having hot dish if you're a Minnesota. You don't... So it's like a baptism of Alabama bass fishing. It's you're not a bass fisherman in Alabama if you don't.
Yeah.
You don't at least have it in the locker.
Right.
But how is it different? So what was the key kind of thing you learned about it when you first got introduced to it? And I think there's things you've learned that okay, this is effective and this is why.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is, I think, important to explain because it's more reactive than I think we're used to having to deal with in Minnesota. And I think there's parallels where you could do it up there, but where and why, and I think, anyway.
No, when you work it like that, it depends what trailer you put on it, but you can either get, your super realistic like craw actions, or you can put some trailers on to actually get the whole jig to roll like almost like a minnow. And
shake it.
yeah, so I mean it's super interesting how you can, kind of alter the action just by your trailer and by pumping the jig, but and with that it allows you to float the jig a lot more. Like today I was throwing a 1/2 ounce jig and I was throwing it in thick grass, and you can float it in that thick grass, and it creates, with it being 1/2 ounce, you can, it creates enough of a depression in that grass they can find your jig easy. And yeah, I mean that's the main thing is, shaking it, you get the good action, and you can also float it in place with it being a 1/2 ounce jig. So I mean it's just a combination of a bunch of different things is why it plays so much around here.
Dude, that one trailer you were throwing today makes a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that I used to whale on the smallmouth, Carolina rigging that bait?
Really? It's not one out Carolina rig.
Me either, usually. But
Yeah.
there was a situation where it was the best. It came through grass the best, and they wanted a baitfish style, presentation. But I'll tell you this much. No matter how cute or detailed you want to get, the menace grub, dude, still catches them day in, day out. I don't know too many bass fishermen that don't have menace grub in their
Yeah, it's
their tackle box. I mean, I've got them. I may not throw it as much as others, but I've got them.
Yeah.
And you can do absolutely anything with it. I mean, I looked in your center compartment, and there was a lot of menace grubs in there.
No, like 80% of the time it seems like when I'm throwing a jig, it's a menace. It's just so versatile. Skips good. Rig it horizontal or vertical. Achieve different actions with it. And yeah, swim jigs, football jigs, flipping jigs, skipping jigs, anything menace grub goes with it. So that's why I like them.
Yeah.
They're so versatile.
I do think if you are into the vertical rigging thing, I do think that of the twin tail things you could rig that way, I do think that's the best design to do it. And the Alabama Shake that's probably not necessarily the best time to do it, but when are some times that you'll rig it that, vertical way or in line with the hook?
That's a lot when I'm just swimming a jig like subsurface, like say I'm swimming around milfoil or something, trying to imitate a bluegill.
Sure.
That's when I rig it vertical, like a green pumpkin on a green pumpkin jig. Just, and I'll just feather it through the grass. That's when I really like to throw it because it allows the jig to get down a lot better rather than rigging it horizontal when I'm trying to float it.
Bro, and think about a bluegill tail. That thing is
it's
so
perfect.
bluegilly.
Yeah.
Dude, I've thought about it. I feel like there's no way I haven't thought about it that way, but I feel like I maybe never thought about it that way. And obviously, for obvious reasons, the flat side is to help the bait levitate, right? Keep that thing up. And that tall side, I guess I haven't done it a ton that way, but I'm guessing it doesn't want to rise as much when you pull it through. So when you are fishing some offshore stuff, the bait's not fighting you or your reel as much.
Right.
But I noticed, with the Alabama swim jig technique today, your gear ratio, 8-to-1. And in my mind, if I'm doing the other way, I would be throwing, I really like a touch stiffer rod and a 6-to-1 for a swim jig. If I'm doing a quarter or, trying to keep that thing down, I'm kind of cheating my reel a little bit with it, and then cheating my rod, understanding I'm going to hit them good, knowing I might not be able to catch them as easy once I hook them.
I guess I have very few six-speed reels just for cranking. Basically, other than cranking, I'm all 7 and 8s, and I guess that's just personal preference.
But dude, I've watched you, and you are one of the best people I know at hand control with the rod and hand control with the reel. And I guess for me, I have a tendency to work something too fast. And I don't know if it's my ADHD or whatever, or if I can't multitask. if I just wasn't born to be a drummer, right? But like, I've noticed like the more excited I get, or if I'm moving fast, I'll have a tendency to forget that I need a reel slow enough. And I guess when we're swim jigging like that, it is kind of monotonous, you know? And for you, I feel like it's probably easier for you to stay exactly focused. And maybe it would be for me if I had, you know, that much on the line, or, you know, it was that big. But I think that's why. For a monotonous blah, 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 it's just like I can let the thing work for me.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
I almost like it better for a swim jig than I'd almost rather crank with, like, if you said, would you rather, like, you have a 7-speed and a 6-speed, and you can only throw a swim jig and a crank. Minnesota style swim jig.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd put the 7-speed on the crank. As weird as that sounds.
Interesting.
I think it's because I can feel the bait more. So it's easier to understand where it is and what it's doing.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And I know they want a quarter-ounce swim jig, but I know I can reel it too fast over them. A crankbait, I just need to hit the fucking rocks and make sure I'm not doing it too fast.
Yeah. It's a good point. I guess.
And if I stop it and slow it down, it potentially stops and hits them in the face. The swim jig's gone.
yeah, it's already 40 feet away. I guess for me, it's just I'm just paying attention to like how much tension I have on and just the feel. I guess I don't know. I feel like it's more just feel rather than the speed of the reel. Maybe I don't know.
I think the feel matters, like, and that's where rod angle comes in for me, with the feel more so than anything. And I noticed that today, shaking just for the little bit I did, and then watching you. I think people who start out doing it have a tendency to have the rod tip too high. And I noticed, like, your rod tip wasn't, like, straight at it, but it was low enough where you were almost shaking that slack, and it was getting a rhythm, keeping the jig where you didn't have to work as hard lifting it.
Yep.
And it almost makes me think about a hook set when you're pulling a jig slow. And slack manipulation that way.
Yeah.
Like, slack manipulation, to me, like, I would love to go in depth about slack manipulation with you, because to me it's what any good fisherman I've ever seen fish, like, there's a deeper thing to how fishermen fish, and slack manipulation, rod tip angle, cadence, cadence being slack manipulation or whatever it might be. Bro, that is like probably one of the most important things in terms of what I've seen for people like who are elite, good, or okay. Like, okay, not good slack manipulation, good slack manipulation in certain categories of what they do, right? For me, I would say I have good slack manipulation at certain techniques, and I have a lot to learn on my slack manipulation in techniques that I haven't just played with as in depth, you know? And I feel like when I look at a guy like you or an elite angler, one thing I notice is how well and how fine-tuned and how just automatic that slack manipulation is with what technique you're doing. And it just goes to show the time spent, the effort. And there's probably people who can do it quicker than others. You can do it quick and you're freaking good at it. So what do you, like, can we talk about that? Like, I feel like that's never, like, told, like, it's been brought up when we talk about a technique, but, like, that could be a whole course.
It really could be. I guess the reason I was doing that with the jig today is, like I mentioned, I'm just trying to, I don't want it moving towards me like how a half-ounce jig should, so to say.
Yeah.
Like, I want it to float it in place, because we're dealing with cold water.
You probably got a live scope, but I bet you don't have the scoping rod from Vocelka Fishing Customs, designed to hit those targets right on the noggin on that live scope, whether you're fishing a 3-inch minnow all the way up to a 6-inch minnow, from a 16th ounce all the way up to a 1/4 ounce. This is the perfect mid-strolling rod. Visit VocelkaFishing.com. Check it out today. Scope straight or scope home, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't want it moving crazy fast, so I'm trying to get that action on the jig, but also, try to keep it in place as much as I can. So it takes a certain amount of slack in your line in order to achieve that. And just like you have explained, it's all about feel, and, even like having clear water helps. You can flip your jig out there and really play with it and get, the exact cadence you want. But yeah, I mean, it just takes time to, to be able to bomb a cast out there and be able to feel it like that the whole way back.
Well, it's kind of like a glide bait, and I think if you, or a jerk bait, right? When they used to have to throw Smithwick Rogue, you pick up a Lucky Craft pointer, it's going to take you a while to figure out that you're working it way too hard. Like if no one told you, right? And that was me with, that's what I'm learning with a lot of these baits, right? That's what I learned with the Grace 240. And I've learned twice the hard way. Like in Japan, I learned the hard way with the 210L, and then you thrown it, the cast you threw it today, just, there's baits that take a lot of work and a lot of slack manipulation to get it to do what it wants. And there's baits that are designed, fine-tuned for, less stress on you in slack manipulation.
Yeah.
And that was just crazy to me. So it's and this is, I think, the very important thing for people listening to understand. It's like, you can be doing the right thing at the wrong time. You can be doing the right thing in the wrong place. You can be throwing the right thing the wrong way.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like people don't ask those questions when they pick something up and put something down. And I think that's what makes good anglers, once again, I think that's overlooked when people pick something up and put something down. If you've only been bass fishing 2 years, that hasn't occurred to you yet. You know what I mean? And that's I feel like the questions you ask.
Yeah. I mean, I think it just takes time on the water for that feeling to pick something up, put something down, to get more and more accurate, so to say. Or
100%.
That just goes back to the whole gut feeling thing, like we talk about forever. But yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother rabbit hole, but yeah, I mean, it just takes time for you to know when to pick something up, when to put it down, and when to change.
100%. So what's something you've learned about slack manipulation with, let's throw an example or a certain technique out that you've learned that there's a certain slack manipulation that you feel that most people don't understand with a certain technique?
Biggest one I could say is washing something light in current.
I do not disagree with that.
That's the one that takes the most learning and the most tedious.
I would agree. If you want to elaborate that on
I was going to say, I don't know if you want to talk about that one.
I will. I think at the end of the day, I'm cool with it. It's a matter if you want to talk about that one. I
Sure.
don't have any tournaments on the river.
I don't either.
You're going to have to dig in the vault for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's dig into that.
I mean, there's a lot of instances, Coosa River, for example, where it's hard to wrap your mind around. It's, 8 feet deep under your boat. You're throwing into, crazy current at times, 4-mile-an-hour current. And, you cast out, your bait hits the water. Before you know it, it's well beyond your boat, and you feel like you're not feeling anything. But if you get the right slack in your line to make it look natural, there's like a huge bow in your line almost, but it's like, it's very hard to explain.
Cut. You can keep talking, but cut. I'm just marking this for me when I timestamp it. Huge bow in your line.
Yeah, so if there's no possible way for you to have direct contact in your bait and stiff current for it to be natural in the water, it's impossible.
I agree 100%.
So you have to find the perfect medium of how much bow is in your line to where you don't know what's going on, and how much bow in your line where it's still natural and you can still tell what's going on with that bait and still be able to set the hook on the fish and get him in the boat. I mean, there's just so much going on and so much that you have to feel out and just trial and error. And it's definitely one of the biggest manipulations that you've mentioned and the most tedious and time-consuming one to learn.
Dude, it's like, I'm going to keep most of this. I might chop like a word or two, but I think I'm going to keep most of this. If I keep all of this, you guys are the luckiest motherfuckers I've ever met in my whole life. But that is one of the most proud, like as an angler, right? You figure something out. Like, you have things that you're proud of that you figured out. Like, yeah, somebody could have told you later, but no one told you about it. You learned it all on your own, exploited it, won a tournament, took second, whatever. That, what you just said, period, with current and slack manipulation, is like one of the greatest things that I've been fortunate to like tediously learn on the Rainy River in an absolute grimy conditions, like not many bites, tediousness, light bulb moments, and duplicatable. So I guess if you're willing to put yourself out there and spend time doing that, you be rewarded for your sweat and labor if you don't quit.
Be rewarded greatly.
Yes. But what you fucking shouldn't do is buy binoculars and do it that way, because you can't see the size of jig head they're throwing.
If any.
They don't make stickers that big. And here's the deal. I've seen a lot of boats fish shit. They might have been 4 feet off. I don't know.
2 feet off.
I'm telling you right now, dude. Champs Tour happened this year. A boat fished. The spot sat there a long time before I went there. I let him have it. Didn't catch nothing there. I go there. I didn't catch nothing for 20, 25 minutes. Put my boat in the right spot. Zzz-ah.
Yep.
So that was a great answer to that question. Wow. Wow. That was a great answer to that question. What I want to know is glide bait and current and that slack manipulation. Because I've played with it, but I haven't played with it like enough. Because I like fishing, I don't know, smallies and current. And I guess it just, the smallmouth glides seem to be really tough in current to get, to not blow out and like do that. How do you do that?
I mean, it's the same concept. I
agree.
It's definitely another level. Because, I mean, there's times where, I mean, it depends which one you're throwing, but there's times even just your normal water where it's hard to make it look right. And then you put current into the picture.
100%.
So it's just, you got to make sure you know what that glide's doing without any current on a normal situation first. And then you can apply that same cadence or whatever you figured out and wash it the same way that you learned how to wash your other baits.
Yes. Okay.
So there's just a couple more steps you need to add.
Yep. But you're not throwing directly up and you're not throwing directly down, and let's leave it at that.
Cut it.
Cut. Official cut.
5605 cut.
Cut number 1277. Probably. We made a lot of cuts
Yeah.
in our day.
Yeah.
And we're back. No, but fishing is so damn technical, and I think these are fighting words, but I don't know if I disagree with them. And I guess to me, I think with the State of the Union of bass fishing, changing rules, professional commenters, professional hecklers, professional idiots, professional super smart, honest, good people, they've banned a technology. It kind of was a different vibe in terms of like somebody's success being accepted and praised and congratulated. And all because like people are doing something that's more difficult more successfully than them. Did any of that make sense?
Kind of.
Well, let's dive a little deeper on that. That was just kind of painting the national forest of bass fishing if I was to do that in a eloquently confusing way. Makes sense if you don't think about it. But dude, do you feel like kind of threatened by that? Them banning live scope? Because I know some non-scopers who kind of don't like it either. They kind of liked having the bank to themselves.
Yeah,
They were learning to adjust to the new State of the Union and learning to find their advantage, find their style. And I don't want to bring up, like, not trying to stir up some clickbait or nothing here, but like, dude, I honestly want you to know how you feel about it, because I know you have feelings about it.
I really don't. I really.
The super spook knows you have feelings about it.
No, I honestly, do I love using it? Yes. I'm obsessed with fish behavior and watching how they react to conditions and baits, and obsessed with it, but fishing without of it's perfectly fine with me. You know, it's always been incorporated into my tournament strategies since, forever. I'm always, that's how I fish in a tournament day. I'll check a spot, scope, all right, go throw a swim jig, all right, go flip, lay down, all right, we'll go back out in the middle, okay, we'll go fish some docks. Like, it just takes out, the middle of the lake for the most part, out of your floating fish, middle of the lake. All it does is take one aspect of the game out. And yes, it makes you a little less efficient on, say, your grass lines, your rock piles, and that sort of thing. But still, you put 360 in combination with heading sensors, you can still be pretty dang efficient being offshore if you choose to be offshore. So,
well, it's not like you're up against somebody who's using better shit,
right,
to do that, so you just have to be most efficient with the tools you're up against.
Guess what? That's been the name of the game since day one.
100%, dude. And do you want to know what's funny about all this?
What's up?
When I first heard about this kid named Easton Fothergill, some of the rumors I was hearing, man, he can pick fish off with 360 like it's nothing and hit them like crazy and catch them. And he's literally sniping 360 like quick, easy. And now we look at 360 like it's slow, right?
Yeah.
All you got to do is be a freaking junior in high school, bro.
Yeah.
Like, think about it.
Yeah.
Like, and Dane and I, we used to do heading sensor, waypoint management, all of that. And like, I don't know if we just haven't probably committed to that again. But if we committed and dialed it in, I'd be curious if we could still compete. I don't know. Everyone else has live scope in what I'm doing, but if everyone else didn't, I feel like we mess them up offshore. If it's going to go down offshore, I feel like we're going to do it better than them because we learned to do it that way.
Right.
And you did too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the good news about no scope. Is you're one of the better structure GPS 360 anglers. It's just you've learned to process the sport at such a high pace. And I think to take that away from you to an extent offshore is what to me isn't always fair. Like offshore you cannot do it the way you're doing it. Like you cannot do it at that pace. That's the difference, right? So they've almost hijacked your style in a sense. And I'm not trying to paint them as this evil villain, right? I'm still the kid that loves Bassmaster when I say that.
I guess, are you saying it hinders my style, this new rule?
I'm just saying you can't fish as quickly offshore.
I'd say I can still fish as quickly, just not as efficiently.
You ain't gonna catch as many fish as quickly.
Right,
Try to do it as fast as I see you do it.
Right. But it's still going to be moving and grooving.
100%. It's going to be just more like, this is where I'm going to pull up.
Right.
This is where I'm going to cast.
Right.
And planning that out more. Right? Or do you plan that out even with scope?
Oh, 100%. I plan that out.
Walk me through that.
I mean,
I've said it. Like?
I've said it a million times since day one. The most valuable piece of equipment on my boat is side imaging.
I understand, but I'm talking about like you're going offshore. Yeah. I don't have scope. This is the edge. This is the break line.
Mm-hmm.
This is the wind direction.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put my boat here. And I'm gonna cast here, and I'm gonna work up this edge. And you have to do that now.
Yeah.
Like without scope. Like I feel like you do have to think about where you put the boat a little bit more. You can't I don't know. Like I guess I don't have the answers. Like I want to know, yeah, how do you process that like an offshore scenario like without scope? Cuz to me where I put my boat matters more without scope for some reason. And like I have to imagine where I'm casting more so. 360 will help you.
Yeah. But I mean, even with scope, say I'm pulling up on something, you got a hard wind, I'm going to pull up into the wind. Like, it's all about boat positioning, and that doesn't change. So I think, I mean, there's always a reason it's not like when I have scope, I'm just dropping and I'm going to find them on the trolling motor. There's a reason I stop where I do.
100%.
Whether it's current related or, there's an isolated piece of something I'm stopping on, or, you know what I mean? Whether I'm fishing floating fish, wind's blowing on the side of the basin, like, you know what I mean? There's always a reason. I'm not just stopping the boat and getting on the trolling motor and hunt them down.
I understand that. But like, and I guess I think I miscommunicated it a little bit. I think the biggest thing is, like, I feel like when you don't have scope, you have to use stealth to your advantage even more.
Maybe so, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, definitely.
Like them fish can be under you in 2 seconds and you don't know it.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? And you understand other people are scoping it. So how are you gonna fit? Like, I feel like you have to think about how you're gonna attack it more without scope, which to me is gonna slow me down.
Yeah.
It's gonna slow my brain down.
Yeah.
Like, and it's gonna slow my approach down because you can't just throw.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, so to me, because you don't have that ability to access the information, you typically have the ability to access. I feel like that just, my approach would have to be different. Like, I would need to throw more things probably, or throw more things throughout the column. Like, remember when we used to learn how to bass fish? It was like, if you have 2 people in the boat, one person throw something on top.
Yeah.
One person check the middle. One person check the bottom. Like, not to go back to kindergarten, but like, thinking about those things matters more. Like, you have to throw a cast on it probably.
Yeah, definitely. It's more, yeah, you gotta feel it out with your bait rather than, your eyeballs. Definitely.
Like, you have to cast.
Yeah.
You can't decide not to cast because, well, maybe 360, like, tell me how, like, what's going to be different, do you think, with fishing offshore for you without scope?
I mean, stealth definitely plays into it, like you said. Definitely, you want to be sure you don't disrupt that fish that you might be throwing at because you can't see it. So definitely some of that. But I mean, yeah, with that, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's aside from that, yes, you gotta try a couple different baits. I mean, say you're throwing a jig, you try a couple different places. Say even you see one on 360, throw your jig at it, doesn't bite, the fish is gone on 360, and all right, then the jig's not the deal, and you move on. I'm gonna go throw a drop shot or a Nico as the next spot. Like, it's gonna be even more important to be ultra aware of all your surroundings.
Okay. And see, that's super interesting to me because, like, how I grew up, like, how I learned to fish offshore is, like, throwing a long cast and visualizing that on a spot.
Right.
And how it comes to a spot in a jig, for example. Like, I learned, I'm dragging a jig slow as shit for 100 feet and mixing in some shakes. From the end of my cast to as long as I can stand it before I can't pull it forward anymore, right? And I don't do that no more.
Yeah.
Why would you? But it used to work really freaking good when I didn't, like, when I knew that area was good. And your 360 only is looking so far. And they're using an edge or something, right? But when you're talking 20 feet of water, you can't just cover something as quick as you can in 3, if that makes sense. And when you can't see where they're at, now you really can't cover as quick as you can 3. This, let's say, quarter-mile edge, which in my mind, in Alabama, they're going to move a quarter mile more often than they will in Minnesota on them.
Oh, yeah.
So it's almost like, do you go back to can you even catch them dragging like that anymore?
Oh, yeah, I did at Garsville a couple weeks ago.
Hell yeah. So, there's a juice spot, but it gets scoped to death by all the locals, right? So it's like, in my
there's
mind,
a reason they get scoped to death.
Correct. So can you catch them there without scope, or those fish are going to get pressured and move maybe down the edge this way or this way. So now you've got 3-4 little things around the main juice that you want to check. You can only do it. You're going to do it 3 times slower in my mind. And you have to be okay with that, going into the day.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is going to be 4 times slower.
Yeah.
In my mind, the goal now with the non-scope tournaments, if you're fishing offshore, it's not to be the fastest. It's just the goal is to be 3 times slower instead of 5 times slower. How do you do that? And I feel like for you, that's you've just built a career and literally, to me, that's a harder adjustment for speeding up for me as fast as you, doing the scope thing has been a very hard adjustment. It took me a lot of time and practice. And I guess I feel like that. How do you feel like that adjustment will be for you? And when you get into a panic mode or things aren't going right, Like, you can't process things as fast to make that, like, adjustments. You almost have to, like, I'm sorry, like, I'm mind fucking myself here, but
I was gonna say, I'm confused.
but these are questions that I would ask, like, when I'm going into like, they're changing the rules on me.
Yeah.
Like, I've just had the same rules. I can use these combination of tools,
Mm-hmm.
and I just had this much success, and now they're taking it away. How do you plan to tell them, guess what, I don't need it? I'm thinking about everything in terms of, like, mentally preparing for that. You know what I mean?
I'm not following you. I guess for me, I've just made it a point to make sure I fish as much as I can without scope. Like, I went up to Gunnersville with no scope, fished offshore, got some bites, and I'm still fishing the community areas. It's just you have to fish. You're no longer fishing for the biggest fish in the lake. You're fishing for places that fish live, if that makes sense. Like, you can't specifically target the 6-pounders. You're fishing, okay, a fish might be here. Okay, the fish isn't here right now. I'll go to the next. And then with that, every day you got to, trial and error some baits and just kind of go through a little bit of a milk run, I guess.
That makes sense.
But, like, you can't have in your mind, like, okay, the pressure's going to put them over here. And then before you know it, you've wasted 45 minutes. Like, okay, they're not here. And that, you know what I mean? Like, it's got to be pretty, okay, they're going to be here, this little stretch, the stretch has good grass. Okay, they're not here. And then you forget about it.
Uh-huh.
Kind of thing.
That makes sense. To me, the biggest mind F is how precise your casting needs to be to get bit nowadays with the world we live in and how much pressure. Like, you need to be dialed today, for example, to get a bite offshore. You need to cast good.
Mm-hmm.
And you think about how big a spot is. And you're used to casting good.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But now, like, I feel like you burn that thing 10 minutes, you just hope you cast it good.
Yeah.
Right? Like, to me, how do you get over that, like, overthinking that? Because you're used to knowing, you watch me go miss, and you're like, oh, missed. You're not going to catch it.
I guess
You've said that in your head watching other people scope, like,
yeah,
watching them cast. Like, you're not going to catch that fish. You missed. Like, what's the difference if it hit the bottom?
Yeah, I guess that's where 360 comes in for me.
I got you.
It's just a little bit slower.
And what's some gangster shit that you used to be able to do with 360 that you feel like with a little bit of time you might be able to get those superpowers back?
I mean, you can pick fish off stumps, rock, grass lines. I mean, you can still pick fish off. And it takes, just like anything, it takes time with it to understand what a bass looks like on it. So, I mean,
you could tell what a bass looked like on 360 at one point?
a lot of times, yeah.
Size?
Not nearly like what I can with scope, but
Right.
I mean, it's pretty much big or small.
I mean, better than we could with 2D up front.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But, yeah, I mean, you can see fish for sure.
And maybe you won't even, I mean, I think everybody's curious to see what happens there as much as anybody.
Yeah, myself included, I'm curious.
You're probably sick of hearing about it. Is that kind of like all the talk that you get is rules and no scope stuff? Are you almost like burnt out on it?
A little bit.
I'm burnt out on like the caring, like people having an opinion one way or the other.
Oh, yeah, I don't care
Like,
about that.
to be honest, I don't bring it up too often, but more so you're the one who's actually dealing with it. So I feel like you're the only person who should actually be asked about it.
Yeah.
It's because you're the only guy who it affects. Like, it doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
Like, your bastard, like, in my mind, if I'm you, I'm like, well, it's the same rules for everybody.
Right.
Like, at the end of the day.
Yeah. All we can do is be as efficient as we can and see what we catch. It's about all That's how I'm looking at least.
All I was looking at a lot of the day was
Got one on. Beautiful fall day. Catching some smallmouth on the river. On the Witch Rezo. One of my favorite minnows for smallmouth this time of the year. And all the time of the year. Absolutely crushing them on it. Caught a ton of fish on this bait this fall. It's been one of my new favorite minnows from Japan, really. And I mean, just catches them. Favorite way to hook it, just right through the top of it. And then I've been just using it as a minnow, drop shot minnow, many different ways to use it, but that's my favorite minnow for smallmouth fishing. Go check it out, thornbros.com.
these new fishing tackle boxes that you had a bunch of baits in.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and I guess we didn't get to talking about, like, I didn't really ask you the whole rundown on them. I was just, like, looking at them, and, like, I didn't bring swim jigs, so you're like, yo, just hop in the center compartment, and you're so damn organized.
Yeah, you like that?
I mean, yeah, and I don't remember what your boat looked like last time I was in it, but I don't remember it looking that organized. And all I can think of is it must be these new damn tackle boxes he's got.
Yeah, it's evolution fishing. We got some fancy dancy new tackle boxes here.
Yeah, dude.
What do we have here? We have the Ballistics Blade Runner 3700, and yeah, I've never seen a box like it. It's got individual little, what do you call these? Like little pouches, little sleeves, and yeah, I mean, they're originally designed for spinnerbaits, but I mean, my mind's already started wandering. Like this one's gonna be a jig head one. It's gonna hold all my jig heads. Like, I mean, each stack can be like a single jig head, and then I don't know. Comes with 4 sleeves per stack. You can put 4 different size jig heads and put 6 different. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It's just another style of box that hasn't been come up with yet, and the options are endless with this box. So
nobody likes beans in a salad. You can keep it all separated. And what I'm curious about is what it seemed like when I opened it with the swim jigs today. Is they seemed better organized, but I think more than that is, like, I've seen storage come out that, organizes things good, but capacity isn't there, right?
Yeah.
And when you're talking about what you're dealing with, or a person, putting stuff in their boat, there's a lot of ways to skin the cat, and you want to have it all with you. Swim jigs, you want to be able to fit them all in the box. So what I'm curious, what it seems like with the baggie system and how you can stack them is not only are they more organized, but it does seem like you can fit also more swim jigs bulked up where they're supposed to be.
100%. Yeah, and I mean, it's a big box, the 3700 series, like we're all familiar with. And let's see, there's 4 baggies per stack. I mean, there's 24 baggies, and I had how many? 4 or 5 swim jigs per baggie. I mean, that's a lot of swim jigs.
It is a lot of swim jigs.
And yeah, super neatly organized, and just a new style box. It'll keep everything super protected. And yeah, I mean, I've been super happy with them so far.
They look super nice.
Just another way to be super organized, like I like to be. Helps be efficient.
Do you like a waterproof? Do they make only waterproof boxes, or do they make like a non-waterproof box? And do you have a preference?
They do make non-waterproof. I always choose the waterproof. You just got to be careful not to put a wet bait in here to trap the moisture in. So it's just something you got to be careful about. But yeah,
that's a pro tip. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, even when you have a jig, you let it set out for a little while. I mean, it feels dry. There might still be some moisture in that skirt, so I like to just let it sit out overnight, and then I'll put it away.
Yeah, your rusty hook will break your heart.
Yeah, but yeah, they're solid.
Heck yeah, dude. So what have you noticed for changes, like, with the, like, winters here? Like, you were dialed, I think. What was the run you had on lay that year I talked to you and Nick when you guys figured out the floater deal? like how much, like we were talking today and like, yeah, what did that run look like? Because I know it was kind of like a cool little run that you guys probably still giggle about like kids.
I mean, I don't remember exactly like how much or how many tournaments we won, but I mean, we definitely had it pretty dialed there for a year or two. But yeah, I mean, it's just a combination of me not spending as much time out there traveling around the country, and also the lake changes literally every winter. Every winter it's been like different from the past years I've seen. It's honestly crazy. So I don't know, it's definitely a lake that keeps you on your toes, and I'm grateful to be near a lake that's like that. Always keeps you learning. Just when you think you have it figured out, Lake will tell you no you don't. So
That is crazy. And like we don't deal with that in Minnesota. Like winter generally is pretty similar depending on the species and like the terrain and the grass and stuff, but like generally you can find them in the similar places every fall and till ice. So that is super weird.
yeah, it's really interesting.
Do you think it's pressure? Like what do you like, what's your theory on that?
I think it has to be something conditional, because I mean, even last year they're all in the middle of the river literally all winter, and they just get hammered all winter, and they're still out there every day. I mean, you can go through a stretch and who knows how many fish you can catch in a day, go through that same stretch the next day.
So they stay.
They stay.
They just don't bite as good. Don't bite as good, or
Not even that. You can catch them every day once you figure it out. Yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, there is way more fish in an area like that than you think there is, because they're always going up, down, and moving around. They're not stationary. So there's no telling how many fish are in an area once you find an area that's got them. But yeah, I mean, it's just crazy how this year's so much different. And I mean, you can catch some nice ones, don't get me wrong, but we definitely don't have it like me and Nick had it in those couple of years stretch there.
All I can think of is bait, right? Like, and all I would ask myself is like, how much bait was present there then? How much bait is present there now?
So that's
in
the thing.
Those places, right?
Yeah, the first year we really dialed it in. It was all the bass were actually in the bait feeding on the surface. So that was kind of a deal that we ran. That was really a whole winter. And then the next winter, the bait was still in relatively the same areas, but the bass weren't using the bait as much. Their bass would be kind of nearby, still, floating, I'd call them, but yeah, not so much in the bait. And then you go like this year, and there's the lake's super healthy, don't get me wrong, but the bait isn't in the same areas. But then you go find the bait, and the bass, they're not relating to the bait like they have in past years. It's so different. But yeah, it's just cool to study the fish movements each winter and how it differs. And yeah, I mean, it's taught me a lot.
100%. You mentioned you hear them bluegills popping today, and do you think there's anything to do with that and like another bait being more preferred? If they're not, like, if you're finding that bait, bass ain't preferring it. Is it like at the size of that bait versus the size it was previously, and they found a different bait that's more their size? Preference for a meal? Like, I mean, let's be honest. Are you picking up a chicken nugget or a chicken sandwich? Or, like, I don't know. I got questions, no answers here.
I mean, I think there's, for the most part, I think there's bluegill eaters and threadfin eaters for most of the winter. I think they're sometimes different populations almost at times in the wintertime. I mean, this flip-flops a lot of times. Like, I think some of the biggest largemouth in Lay Lake, they're brim eaters. They stay shallow year-round. But then you have your 4 to 6 pound floaters that eat threadfin all winter long out in the river. So I kind of have a theory that they're almost two different populations, but now maybe my theory is getting proven wrong this winter. Now that I'm finding those threadfin and I don't know.
That's interesting. And
There's 100% a population of largemouth in Lay Lake that never go offshore, though. They live shallow year round. I know that for a fact.
well, and just like humans, I think this is interesting. Like, there's a percentage of the population that's smarter than the other percentage of the population.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
There's a percentage of the population that is smarter than me, and there's also a percentage of the population that is dumber than me.
Yeah.
What that percentage is, no one will ever know. But AI might figure it out within the next 10 years. So, and for you, they're same thing. And I guess we don't talk about it enough. Like, you hear guys like Fighter or Van Dam talk about it a little bit. But, like, not all bass are the same smart.
No.
And there's, like, think about this. Like, you were just talking about it. Like, the Johnstons. They find a bass that they can catch, and they can see, and they can catch at 20 feet. They understand that there's a bazillion bass swimming around the St. Lawrence River. But they understand that they only need to catch and weigh 5 of those bass. And they know if they can find 5 of those bass dumb enough to be in the right mood 20 feet away, and they can make it turn a certain way and flare up a certain way, they're going to catch that dumb bastard, and they're going to weigh 5 of them dumb bastards, and they're going to win the damn tournament, right? Because they targeted the low-hanging fruit, if you will. They went to the special needs classroom, and they decided, we're going for these motherfucking bass, okay? We're going after the drooly bass, okay? We're going after the not driving ones. Have I crossed the line? You know what I mean here, right?
Yeah.
What's your theory on that? Like, what's your thoughts on that? Like, I've heard different color smallies. Like, you know, the darker smallmouth. God, this sounds horrible now. I do not mean it this way. I'm talking about smallmouth here. But, like, the dark ones, like, you know, you'll have a pack of smallmouth and there'll be a really dark one.
Yeah.
Throw out that dark one every time. If we're talking shallow sight fishing. Like, there is not all bass are the same.
No.
Even in one next to the other. Too deep?
Yeah. I'm still processing everything.
We've entered the stratosphere.
I mean, the Johnsons, what they do, that's what they've done since day one. That's just the technique they're best at. So that's what they choose to do, what they have confidence in.
We've seen them catch smart bass in 30 feet too. Don't get me
100%,
wrong. So I
100%.
wasn't trying to say anything about that.
Yeah.
But it's like, there's just less dumb ones than there used to be. Like, if you think about it.
We can all agree on that. Yeah.
So, like, all that means is I think there's just less of those to go around. Like, that mentality is harder to win with now. Like, just dumb ones. Like, and that's what makes you really good with scope, right? Is you're good at catching the smart ones at that rate of speed, right? That it used to be, I'm gonna hook a spinnerbait down the bank, and I'm not worried about how many fish I passed over, or fish like passing over the best population of area. I'm looking for the biters.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for the dumb ones, right? And like, you're kind of doing that, but more technically and like understanding there's no more dumb ones, so I'm gonna catch the dumbest of the smart ones. And like, that's like the game you've mastered, right?
Right. And how do you accomplish that? Efficiency.
Efficiency, right.
Since there's no dumb ones anymore, you have to put your bait in front of more smart ones than the rest of the field to get a couple more of those really smart ones to mess up.
100%. Even smart bitches make mistakes. That's the key lesson here. No matter how smart you think you are, you still make mistakes.
Yeah.
And if you're not careful, Easton Fothergill might just snipe you 40 feet away. That's right, you smart motherfuckers. Head on a swivel. You're not safe anymore. You're not safe. You're not safe. But do you think there's I've heard it about how long the fish have been up shallow in terms of smallmouth and their coloration, right? And it's like the ones that are, I can't remember if it's, the theory is the ones that are more accumulated shallow or less accumulated shallow are easier to catch.
I like the rogue ones, shallow.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You don't like them in a pack? You don't like to feed off that competitive instinct that they
If it's
have?
pre-spawn, yes. If it's middle of summer, no.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking about Mille Lacs and there's, let's say we're talking about a boulder, and there's 4 on the boulder versus 1, I feel more confident catching 1 off the boulder with 4.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're rolling a flat, you're saying, and sight fishing and running down a sand gypsy, if you will, that's when you like to pick out a single over a wolf pack.
Usually.
Yeah.
In the summer.
I feel like if you're good at scope, like there's an aspect now, and dude, it's 4D chess. Like you can't, like in the no, and not to bring this up again, but in the no scope tournaments, let's not forget that these folks are no longer allowed to play 4D chess. They're allowed to play 2D chess just like everybody else. Okay? The chess cap is 2D now. But like the 4D chess you played to win the world championship bass fishing, where you couldn't catch a bass using 1 lure, you had to use 2 lures to catch 1 bass. Like that's 4D chess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not checkers. That's 4D chess. Right? And I think with what we're just talking about, like, that applies, dude. That applies. All day.
Yep.
And that's what makes a good angler great. Paying attention to all the finer details is what makes a good elite angler great. And I feel like there's a lot of freaking good anglers out there, but there's not a lot of people who really look at that deeper aspect of bass fishing. And I think like when you run into a tough day, it's cool to see you just change and roll with it. And I guess for me, experiencing Lay Lake today, what I didn't get to experience is like, I don't know how many memories we fished versus not, right? And like I don't, like that's the part I didn't know. But I think getting into the 4D chess thing, I think this is probably the most fascinating subject to me as a passionate angler of the sport, as a just, that shit is the shit that turns my crank. And it's you pulling a fish out of a brush file and then catching it on something else. So using a lure to move the fish, and then using a lure to catch the fish. I think about, and then I was talking to Luke Lamb, and see, remember when you were doing it to get them out of the brush? I heard a story about getting them up high enough.
Yep.
And then throwing a topwater.
Yep.
But not being able to throw just a topwater. Having to throw something to get them up to that 15 or 10 foot zone, right? And travel that distance. They wouldn't eat that thing that they'd travel the distance to follow, but then you throw a spook and they'd freaking... And that was the story I heard yesterday, and literally the only person I thought of was you. And I think these are like what the F moments for a guy like me. And I guess how many different scenarios do you run into with that where you've had to use, that's some 40, like, or even just having to do something deeper or more technical than I guess we're used to seeing out of a professional angler. Like, let's not forget they took that away from you.
I mean, I feel like it happens all the time.
I have an example where it's happened, and it's fishing smallmouth on a flat. You call them in with something, they don't eat it though, but you can call in schools of fish and populations of fish, then you can sight fish them, catch them.
Right.
But you have an attracting tool to move them.
Right.
And then you catch them because you could be more precise, hit them on the nose, right? Or lead them, understand where they're swimming and hit them. But when you when you can't see them, you have to be able to see them so you can hit them because they're being a little fickle, but they're still curious little bitches, them smallmouth. So you feed into that. And that's what we used to do without scope. That was like a cool 40 chess smallmouth trick that I learned from Nick Gross when I was a kid. And that's the closest thing I could think of. But like, I don't see you doing that like all day to try to do that.
No.
You do it when it's necessary or when you have to do it or feel like you have to do it. And I guess we saw that at the Classic, but is there any other examples that you can clearly think of? Like, you thrive in those moments.
I mean, I know there's so many instances, and let me try to think of one.
No problem. Yeah, he's like, fuck, do I want to give away this?
No, it's, yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know if there's one I want
to give out.
Yeah.
I understand.
They involve little goodies.
I get it. I get it. Can you say it without saying the little goodie? Like more like talk on a more vague or abstract plane of like moving the fish here because of this, and then throwing something, insert technical juice.
Yeah.
Like, to me, a glide bait's a prime example, just with the drawing power. And I know we're both thinking of another bait with drawing power.
Yeah. I mean, in prime examples, tournament in Florida, we had some, loaded in a couple little eelgrass patches. And, we could see them in there. We drug our Carolina rigs. It was on a hard spot, so we drug Carolina rigs and football jigs and all kinds of stuff, and the fish didn't want nothing to do with it. So then I had a bull shad. I cast the bull shad and I reeled it over, and literally the whole school came up top, and I think I caught one first cast, and then they wouldn't do anything. And that's when I dug in the tackle box and tried to figure something out, and then finally found something. And I tried, heavy stuff, weightless stuff. Just, every end of the spectrum. And then I finally figured it out, and we wrecked them in the middle of a giant crowd of boats.
Isn't that the best feeling?
Yeah.
I think the best feeling ever is wrecking them in a giant crowd of boats that isn't.
Yeah.
As much as I hate fishing in a crowd,
yeah.
If I'm gonna, I hope it's that.
Yeah.
Dude, I have to pee so bad, but I do think that we can make the most of this piss break if you don't have to, because I picked some of this X-Braid up from Thorne Bros earlier this year and like really fell in love with it, and then I saw you picked them up as a sponsor.
Yeah.
And I think, like, dude, it is hard to find a good braid.
It is.
You and I have been talking about that for a year. Insert X-Braid. What makes X-Braid so special while I pee? Because we talked about it earlier today.
Yeah. So the biggest thing for me with X-Braid, or any braid in general, what I look for is obviously you want castability. you know, you want to be able to get your bait away from the boat. And also, obviously, you want strength. And, you know, for castability, you want, you know, a thin diameter braid. That's what allows you to cast so far. And with a thin diameter, you want to keep your strength. So the X braid upgrade, you know, it's one of the best castability braids. It's super thin diameter line, and it also holds knots really good for our fluorocarbon leaders. So, I mean, it's the best I've ever seen. It comes in a bright green color, so you can see it super well in the water. But yeah, I mean, I run the 16, the 22, and the 25 pound braid. I mean, even the 25 pound braid, you can cast, you know, an 1/8 ounce, you know, jig, you know, as far as you want, as far as you'll ever need. So the X braid upgrade, it's been super impressive for me. So yeah, go check it out. It's been, I mean, one of the best I've ever seen for sure. And Teal can attest to that. That was quick.
Thank you. No, he's not kidding, folks. It's good shit.
Yeah.
What size? Do you go through sizes that you like?
Yeah, I throw the 16, the 22, and the 25. So
I think that's like the biggest thing if you're new to like JDM line, that like we can save you like $20 to $30 to $40 just with this one little tidbit with the sizes. Maybe you already went through this, so the suspense is gone.
no, I didn't.
Like, go up in certain lines that are Japanese. You need to go up in size from American. Like 16, like the diameter is equivalent to like 8 or 10.
Yeah. Yep.
Power Pro or like whatever insert American fishing line that you used previously.
It has the diameter of an 8 pound, but I would be willing to bet it casts twice as far as an American 8 pound braid.
And that's the magic, my friend.
Yep.
And the other thing that I think we should just get on the record, if we haven't already, is do you or do you not need to tie the FG knot?
You do not need to tie the FG knot.
Oh,
folks.
snap. Boom, pow. Bam. Is that the world champion of bass fishing saying that you don't need to tie the FG knot? I can't tell you how good that makes me feel about myself and about life in general. And it gives me even more confidence in X-Braid, to be honest with you, because you can tie that quick little 2-minute knot, which is 30 seconds for some people, or you can tie that 30-minute knot, which is 5 minutes for some people.
Right.
So, what have you noticed about, like, you're not, because the line is thinner,
Mm-hmm.
and like with tag ends and things like that, like, if you, like, is there any little things that help you, or leader length, things like that you pay attention to?
I definitely run shorter leaders for the most part on basically everything other than a drop shot. And for one, I don't like that not going through my guides because it alters my cast. I feel like, because I'm trying to be accurate, whether it's, you know, throwing at something on my screens or, you know, skipping under a dock or a lay down. Always wanting to be accurate, it seems like. And then that not going through your guides every single time, you know, I feel like that's a part of the reason why, you know, 2 hours after you tie that knot, you may get a break off. Just cast after cast, that friction on that knot, you know, it catching on a couple of your guides every cast. I think it really wears on your knot.
Well, I mean, yeah, you think it's like hitting a speed bump at 50 miles an hour, or however that fast that line's coming off. It's hitting a speed bump, and that makes sense. And I think, you know, leader fluorocarbons changed, and like there's a couple fluorocarbon brands that I used to just swear by that I don't anymore. And I guess, like, to me, the market's a little bit open on fluorocarbon. I'm more open to trying like a new fluorocarbon line. And I've tried a few that I like, but I guess this stuff's like intrigued me a lot when I looked in your garage. I've noticed, like, with Japanese fluorocarbon, like, they use the word hard and soft.
Very interesting.
Have you noticed that too? Like V hard, like V soft. Like, see, it says hard right there. So I'm wondering, like, is that must be the coating on the outside or something along those lines? But like, what have you noticed with this V12 And I guess with fluorocarbon, usually, like, we're talking diameter, there's a stretching element. So I think at this point, we need people to understand the big picture. I think a lot of people, the rod market's a busy place. And I think a lot of people lose
very saturated.
Well, I think a lot of people lose the forest and the trees. At the end of the day, people don't understand, follow the money, and you're going to find that Dane's up against big rod here, okay? Big rod.
Big rod.
Big rod has liabilities. If you die by rod shank, they're not liable. Okay? Look at the VAERS reports. Look at the VAERS reports.
Bro.
Big rod is not liable for shit.
Put a bunch of money back into the industry and supply a bunch of...
Their rods are big enough. What about the little rods?
Dude, I can't stop
What about the widow rod?
stop thinking about this comment that someone told me the other day.
This is a public service announcement to support local businesses like Vocelka Fishing and Customs and increase your results on the water. To fluorocarbon, and then there's knot strength, right?
Mhm.
What else is there? Castability, but we're talking a leader.
Right. No, the first thing I noticed with that stuff was the knot strength. I mean, it was. I mean, I tie an Alberto, so I do like 6 or 7 wraps down, 6, 7 wraps up, and usually, it's kind of tedious to make it cinch down. But for whatever reason, that combo, you can just yank on it and it cinches. Like, I don't know what it is, but there's something to it.
As a fellow Alberto tire,
Yeah.
one thing I appreciate about this line is, when you have to wrap it back, and that line is fighting you
Mm-hmm.
back, and it wants to keep wrapping down, like
Yeah.
you said, 7-8 down, 7-8 back. Like, there's nothing. Most line, when you try to wrap it back, it tries to give you 9 or 10 down. And
Yeah.
with this line, I've noticed it's so dang manageable.
Mm-hmm.
Not only on, like, manageability from a use standpoint, but from a knot tying standpoint, which it improved my knot tying. That's speed we're talking about, baby. That's efficiency.
That is efficiency. But yeah, with that, I mean, there's some fluorocarbons out there that actually stretch a lot. And this
100%.
This isn't one of them. It hardly stretches at all, which I really like.
On a leader, I don't mind that. The question is like, I feel like the question is how does that affect the lifespan of the line, right? Is like, because a rubber band, there's more give and
Mhm.
less break. So the stretch can be a good thing, and less stretch can be a good or bad thing, depending on how long you can do it before it brittles and breaks. Because fluorocarbon will get brittle.
Mhm.
I don't know. Time will tell.
Time will tell, yeah.
Yeah.
But
The good news is with a leader and a short one,
yeah,
generally speaking, it's not like a full spool.
right.
Like a full spool is like, shit, do I need to pull 20 yards off or not? That's where I feel like a little stretch is okay.
Yeah, definitely.
But interesting. Have you messed with the sinking braid that they make at all? And what's your thoughts on sinking braid? Mixed reviews among pros and myself.
I have not thrown their sinking, but that's mostly in part because I tried it probably 2 years ago, and I hated it.
Really?
I put it on 2 rods, fished it for a couple of weeks, and took it off and said I'm never using that again.
Sinking braid in general?
Yeah,
The All Might? Or Seagar?
I think the All Might's what I tried.
So you hadn't tried the X-braid sinking yet?
I haven't.
Of the sinking I've tried, I think you'll like the X-braid best. The American stuff, though, like I went up a size, and it felt like normal American sizing on the sinking stuff. But I haven't tried the Japanese sinking stuff. I tried the stuff Thorne had was like normal sized braid. Like 12 was 12, 10 was 10, 16 was like 16 Power Pro. Like, too thick.
Interesting.
So that's why I was going to ask you about that, but no worries. If anyone has a really good size sinking they like, the stuff I've tried that I like is the 10 and 12. But I really like the regular stuff, and I feel like it cuts water so damn good because of how thin it is that. And my leader's sinking, and my bait. Like when I'm throwing a bait on a bottom, like my leader's longer. Then like if I'm shaking it over, I'm not really worried about it.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Anyway, we probably nerded about line a little deep there, but.
It's all good.
That's what the Galaxy's for.
Yeah.
That's what the Galaxy's for. Oh, I did have a really good question for you. I thought of it while you're doing that other podcast. I was trying to think about, man, what could I ask him that he doesn't get asked in 12 other podcasts?
Let's hear what you got.
What is a technique or something that you felt that used to be a deal you were so deep into and like you felt so effective with it that doesn't play anymore so much that you might be willing to share? Maybe people can't use it or utilize it, but more as a way of thinking. Maybe that doesn't even exist. Like, is there a technique that you used to feel so damn good about that you hardly even pick up anymore? Or that kind of ran its course that you don't feel like even good about anymore, but at one point you were so in depth about it? The problem is when you get that intimate with the technique, like, I can't think of one I've let go completely.
I haven't let it go completely, but I used to throw a shaky head a ton.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. What made you stop?
Nico took its place.
Got it.
Yeah, but I'm realizing that there's times where a shaky head still plays, I feel like.
So, like, walk me through that shaky head and kind of how you felt deadly with it, or how in-depth you were with it, or how intimate you were with it, and what attributes of it were important to you because of that.
I love to throw it around just like gravel points and gravel bars and stuff, especially for spots around, like chunk rock. It's really good, or even around stumps. I threw it all the time, which that's where I throw Nico a lot now. But I still like to throw it around the rocks and stuff. I just feel like something with that head bouncing off the rocks. I think there's something to the worm looking like that rather than a Nico getting pulled from halfway up the worm.
And when you were throwing a shaky head, I mean, everyone was throwing it.
Mm-hmm.
And you felt deadly with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what made you feel more deadly than the 12 other guys that threw a shaky head on that spot before you?
I think I had some sneaky spots up my sleeve.
I got you. So it was your ability to find offshore structure and target it effectively, which makes a lot of sense to me.
It was that, and also, I mean, I threw it in the community stuff too. I think I had like the fall rates and the size of the shaky head dialed in, and also, I mean, I think I was just more efficient with it.
That makes sense. So like, and I've learned this about you with fall rate, and that's something I really like to pay attention to. And when I think of a shaky head, I mean, there's a lot of different fall rates based on the worm you use, based on the head you use. Like, so in your mind, was everyone's throwing this size or this size? Would you go lighter or heavier than that generally?
I'd go lighter.
Lighter.
Usually. Yeah, usually just light enough, or I guess just heavy enough to where you can keep bottom contact without fighting too hard, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So you felt like there's a rhythm with the head. There's a levitation aspect to it being on the bottom too, which to me is some Adam Rasmussen tube swimming sorcery.
No.
And I think, and I learned this about bottom strolling in Japan with that high roll, right? I mean, when I would think about bottom strolling, I would think about using a 3/16 ounce head, where he was doing it with a 16th. And it didn't make sense to me, but as I thought about it more on the 12-hour plane ride home, it dawned on me that there is a like I thought about like an Adam Rasmussen or like how it's that important mid column in almost the natural aspect of that minnow moving on the bottom versus if it was a rock. It'd be, how often do you see a shad that's injured
Bouncing on rocks.
banging the bass drum on the bottom for you saying, hey, come look at me.
Yeah.
So I think, and you know, sometimes you want that rock, like, hey, fuck you, look at me. But like, that's just, I think when I would think about that more with a shaky head if it was like cold water or springtime for sure. But to me, where I like that weight size is like avoiding snags. Like if we're talking about that river cast, and it's like if you are doing that river thing with something on the bottom, there's a magic size on it getting pulled correctly and not getting snagged as well.
Yeah.
And an efficiency aspect with that. So it's, I think when you listen to Easton Fothergill, I think like those are like the little 4D chess things that make an angler special, whether it's Adam Rasmussen on Sturgeon Bay or Easton Fothergill with a shaky head, or insert whatever example you want. I think that's super cool. And I think a shaky head's gonna, like, it's like a jig, dude. It's always played.
No, it'll never go away.
What the coolest thing I think I've learned or been like fascinated about, or that you've helped kind of open my mind on, is like a Nico worm is a spring, or it's like there's, when people think of a Nico worm or a finesse worm, they don't like you want to think about some 4D chess. Let's think about a finesse worm and like how it moves through the column if you pull it, shake it, how it moves on the bottom if you pull it, shake it, where does it move, does it fold in half, does it vibrate, does it not? And like to me, like listening to a Drew Gill or an Easton Fothergill, the stuff they're not going to share with you is everything they absolutely know about that. But it's, dude,
Yeah, there's so much to a simple worm.
it is deeper than deep space itself.
Yeah.
You like that one? When I twang it in my hand, I like it. But like Galapagos makes that lash wave, and like I put it in my hand right away, I'm like, meh. But like I put it in the water, and like I started to understand the worm better, and I'm like, no, Dad, this isn't just a jelly worm. This is some Japanese bam bam. This is industrial shit. And I guess I know you think about those things,
Mm-hmm.
but the twanginess of the worm and the thickness of the worm, and where the where things are built in the worm,
Oh, yeah.
how you're moving it, it's crazy.
Yeah, this...
And I guess to me, I'm wondering, like, it's making me wonder if I'm using a stiff enough worm sometimes.
Maybe not.
With just understanding how it pushes water.
How much water displacement it has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your slack management has to change based on what worm you're using.
Definitely.
And how you're using that worm. And what weight you're using with said worm. Is it light or heavy?
Yeah.
Your slack management's going to be different. Or these are things that you don't even have to think about anymore. That's the beauty of it. I'm still thinking about it, and you don't even need to, do you?
Oh, I think about it all the time. Yeah.
What do you think about, Easton?
Just what adjustment I need to make when they don't bite.
Can you give me an example besides weight in terms of like the worm and like getting into the like what in the worm, like two worms might look the same but the stiffness is different or the thickness is different, and an example where it made a difference?
Not gonna say where, but smallmouth fishing.
Okay.
You can make that thing look like a bait fish or a worm. depending on where you put that hook on the worm.
Oh. Okay.
I'm not saying what worm it is.
That's fine, but can you explain why and where the hook goes and how that changes it from a bait fish to a worm a little bit more?
The closer to the, well, to a certain point, the closer to the tail you go, the more wormish it's going to look like, the more it's going to fold. Like
The closer to the tail.
Yeah, for farther from the weight.
Yep.
The closer to the weight you go, the more, when you pull it, the more streamlined it looks as it's, hitting the bottom, or, if you're throwing it over top of them or whatever you're doing. So if you put it really close to the weight, you could put it right above the weight. When you pull that thing, it's streamlined. Like, it's not, the worm doesn't fold in half and, pulsate every time you pull it. So it has a completely different profile when you are working it or shaking it or whatever you're doing.
And what about, have you noticed the thickness of the worm? You like it higher or lower? Know what I mean? Like, let's take a Senko and a trick worm, or a striking...
Finesse worm?
Yeah, finesse worm. Striking finesse worm and a Senko, for example, right?
Yep.
The finesse worm, are you going higher or lower? And Senko, are you going higher or lower?
With hook placement?
Yep.
A Senko's stiff enough to where you can't really get much of a different action. You need kind of more of a specialized worm. Usually
For the bait fish?
More like a finesse worm, like your traditional Nico
For
worm.
the bait fish thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And see, for nobody who's... for me, I'm thinking that's the case, but I'm like...
Yeah.
If that Senko's stiff enough, it might ride...
Yeah.
Bait fishy enough. I don't know. I haven't put a Nico hook low enough on a Senko, but just the fact that you think about that's badass to me.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. You can literally alter the hook placement by, an eighth of an inch at times, and it completely changes how the worm looks. So it's pretty wild how, the finesse worm, the striking one's a perfect example. You move it, there's a sweet spot that I like in most instances, but you move it a quarter inch up or down, it completely alters the action of the worm and what you can do with it. So,
and that's an adjustment you'll make.
100%.
Will you make that adjustment before weight?
At times, yes.
I suppose it depends where they're positioned in the column, right?
Well, think about in the Classic when they're when they're super high up, it doesn't do you much good to move it closer to the weight, because when you pull it, it still wants to stay streamlined and fall. Like what I was doing when I was keeping it up in the water column, I want to move it more towards the middle of the worm, so when I pull it, that worm is moving more in place rather than wanting to kind of dive. If that
You
makes
can
sense.
hover it better.
Yeah.
Well, that thing I was throwing today is a prime example.
Yep.
It was harder to hover because I couldn't move because of where I had the hook. I had the hook where I would usually put it in a worm,
Yep.
a quarter of the way up.
Yep.
It's just kind of how...
Mhm.
That's generally where I put it for a Nico.
I agree.
Generally, and I haven't... I've thought about it, but I didn't think about it like that. So, that makes sense. So, okay. And then, the other crazy thing to me is a worm that's going to fall fast, maybe that's a finesse worm, is not going to fold as much, or is going to fold more
Mm-hmm.
than a worm that's stiff.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess how do you decide the thickness of the worm? Is it more a water clarity thing and a vibration thing? Or is it more so just kind of gauging mood of the fish?
I think it's a lot of water clarity, and a thinner worm, when you pull it, you may get, you can even get some vibration out of it if you rip it, and you're not going to get that out of your thicker worm like a Senko style. So yeah, it's really say cold water in Minnesota, I'm throwing a Senko. I don't want too much. I want the Nico profile, but I don't want all the the worm flopping around or all the vibration. I just kind of want the Nico profile. But in the warmer months, or when I want to incorporate action to get a reaction strike out of them, that's when I'm choosing the Nico worms.
Well, there's like, and not to get it twisted, but there's like vibration and there's like undulation with a worm,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
And I feel like you get too thin or too loose, and it's more of an undulation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that to me is like when I'm thinking about a worm, I just go with what I'm confident in. I don't necessarily know I'm picking up this worm because it has more undulation than this one, which vibrates better.
Yeah.
Like, we don't think about that. We're like, no, I like this worm got bit last time I threw it. I'm going to throw it again.
Yeah.
In this color, though, because the water's dirtier or something. Like, that's how we think of it. This is the Nico worm I like. Like, that's how you start.
Mm-hmm.
But how many Nico worms is too many, and how many Nico worms, like, do you employ and deploy? You know, how many variations of worm are you, deploying in a tournament in your arsenal of tools, of options? Because you can only give yourself so many before you're not efficient.
Yeah, right. No, more often than not, it's that finesse worm by striking that usually gets the
Kind
job
of your
done.
industry standard, if you will.
Yeah, but there's one or two others that I'll throw in there, just really specialized times, but more often than not, it's that finesse worm.
And looking at that worm, like, it is, and this,
There
I
you
don't know
go.
if this is the exact worm you'd be referring to.
Yeah.
Well, it's got a flat side and a curved side, and what's cool about the worm is it's got that cup on the one side.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got to imagine you pull it through the water with the cup side this way. It's going to have a different action than cup side that way. Do you have a thought process on that?
What I'm more worried about is the flat versus round side that you noticed.
Oh, on the whole
on
thing.
the worm, yeah.
Got it. So you're more worried about that than that tail cupping. And
Yeah.
Got it. Is flat side down or up or towards the...
Flat side towards me if I want to shake it in place. Round side towards me if I'm moving it more.
That makes sense.
Displace water.
Yep. Are you thinking about... So, like... I love that you think about it that way, and what I think about is how it's going to fall.
Yeah.
Flat side down, I imagine it gliding more. Round side down, I imagine it falling straighter. But on a Nico, maybe I'm like completely off base with that. Maybe it doesn't make a damn difference.
Yeah, it depends on what size weight you're throwing to.
He's like, I don't know, I need to hit him on the damn head.
Yeah.
There's ways of thinking, and
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot you can do with that thing.
Damn, yeah, there is. I used to love throwing a shaky head too. I used to throw it a bit in Minnesota. By Brainerd. Mark Shirley won the state tournament throwing it. He's a friend of mine. And yeah, I don't throw it worth a shit no more. When do you think a shaky's better than a Nico? Like, what makes... What, like, looking back, what, in your mind, when would you want to pick up a shaky head over a Nico? I have a thought, but...
I think current is one. And also, like I said, I think it just has a better presentation around rocks and stuff, just when you're pulling it along. In some cases, I'd prefer that profile over a Nico, having the hook up, or I mean the hook off the bottom. I'd rather have it.
So like a cleaner bottom scenario where you're not dredging up scum or something. And then I think about, when you're moving the bait more this way on the bottom, that would make sense if it's clean enough.
Yep.
And that's actually, I'm glad you brought it up, because I don't really catch them on a Nico and current either, and I don't really throw it, now that you mention it. Do you catch them on a Nico and current?
Not really.
Do you try?
Not really.
Yeah, that's, I think, my problem. Like, I'm thinking, like, I don't catch them on a Nico and current.
I gotta put my clothes in drawer.
Oh, you're good. Smart. Well, I don't really try to throw an Nico and current. Well, that makes sense why I don't catch them on an Nico and current. Dude, Ryugi is such a badass. Like, it's amazing how much little, like, that's, you gotta just, you're like me and Hayden, and like, there's terminal junkies, and I respect terminal junkies. And if you haven't met Easton Fothergill, if he's not if he's not out about it, he's a closet terminal junkie. But like, being sponsored by Ryugi, I bet you've gotten to try terminal that you know, and all of that, and you get to be, now you're looking at possibly designing like some terminal, which is like like, that sounds like a dream come true.
No.
I guess the big thing I've noticed about the Japanese is they're creative, but they're also smart in terms of like efficiency, like little things that make a big difference. And I guess what's something that's really improved your efficiency that comes maybe in a small package or a small flavor, that it, because the big thing is Ryugi is tough to like, oh, I'm going to go drive over here and look at a bunch of Ryugi. Like, you have to kind of look on the website, or and there's not always, you can't always see what this little 1-inch piece of thing does when you look at it on a website. So I think for people who maybe just don't understand it exists, that's, I think, what's special about Ryugi.
Yeah. No, they have so many little things to offer that so many people don't even know about. One of the biggest things that I've found with Ryugi is, or one of the biggest products rather, is it's called the Insect Keeper, and it comes in a small and a medium size. And I have some crazy stories of fish catches with it. And you know, there was one day on Mille Lacs, I fished one Z2 on a jig head, the same jig head, same Z2, all day, and that was thanks to the Insect Keeper by Ryugi. I mean, even with it being elastic, it'll tear up a little bit over time. I mean, I caught them good all day long. There's no telling how many fish I caught on it, but yeah, I mean, pretty crazy to have one jig head, one Z2, and a full day of bassin.
And like, the big thing about a Z2 is like, you super glue it on, the thing's toast, you can't reuse it. Are you, like, do you not even have to use super glue, so you can like pull that Z2 off, change colors, and use the one you pulled off two days from now?
Yeah, no, I don't.
So you don't use
I don't super glue them.
I figured as much, because I asked this man for some super glue today. He's like, Insect Keepers or center compartment.
Yeah.
I was like, no glue. He's like, we don't have glue here.
No, I don't use glue for the most part.
Ryugi doesn't sell glue.
No, exactly.
Well, and that to me is really cool, because glue's a pain in the ass. Like, if I can avoid using super glue, I will. Insert Exhibit A. Ryugi Insect Keeper.
Yeah.
There's so many cool things. Even that hook I used, like this new Okura stick, this 3.2, like, it likes a 6/0, and God, what was that wide gap?
Infinity.
That thing was awesome. Nano coated, and that thing, like, I literally set the hook into a dock today with it, with this Okura stick, and I pulled it back, and I'm like, every single other hook I would have thrown and set the hook on that dock would have been rolled to shit.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that thing was good to go.
Yeah, it takes a perfect balance of having the right hook gauge and also like sharpness. Because I mean, if it's, you know what I mean?
100%.
Like, if there's some points that just roll so easy, and there's some that comes like they come so sharp and then they roll easy. And the Infinities obviously comes incredibly sharp, but somehow they've found a way to have the hook hold its point for way longer than any other hook I've seen.
And that's what's super interesting to me. And if, like, a nanocoated hook makes especially sense to me on a heavier gauge, right?
Yeah.
Like, versus a cutting point or a blunt, like going more blunt with a cut. Like, the nano coat makes so much sense to me, and it seems like most of their stuff is nano coat.
Yeah, almost all of it.
And I'm not saying you need nano coat. Like, you know, there's some good thin wire out there that's not. If the wire's thin, you don't necessarily need it, but it doesn't hurt. Do you feel like it's slippery sometimes in a too thin a setting where you could lose fish because of that? slickness.
I mean,
of it.
there's some hooks I'm aware of that could be the case. Yeah, with a nano coat, just like you said, it makes perfect sense to thicken the gauge of the wire. You get the easier penetration into the mouth, but yet have that thick gauge to, be able to drive the hook home and not, play around with them. So, yeah, there's definitely a happy medium there that Ryugi has kind of dialed in.
Dude, and that makes sense. And like this is the Witch Rizu from YG Labo, and like it's not Elastec, but it's like the most durable minnow I've thrown that like has that softer Japanese touch to it. And I look at this, I'm like, man, I was getting 6 fish, 7 fish out of this bait, sometimes 10. And I think about if I could pop that insect keeper right in the top of that. Shit, dog, I bet I could catch 30 to 40 on this thing.
Yeah, there's no telling how many.
So, I mean, that's the thing, is like that Turnal stuff actually saves you money. People don't think about that, but you spend $7 on, or whatever, on that pack of insect keepers, and you throw like Sakamata shad, even a Z2, a Witch Rizu, steer ride, Zegger shad, whatever it is, like, your money ahead at the end of the day. It's simple math. I'm not a math guy, but I can do that math.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's simple math.
It is.
Yeah. Save money. Get you some insect keepers. Actually, dude, they're kind of hard to find sometimes, so don't get too many.
Yeah.
Save some for us. Or else I'm going to have to call Easton and rob his personal stash. So you're heading to the state of Washington in the morning.
I am.
You ever been?
Never been. I've never been west of Kansas.
I heard it rains over there.
It's gonna rain here. Big
It
time.
is going to rain here. I'm driving through, flood watch today.
Teal's gonna float away.
I am. I think hopefully it's not too windy, because I'll blow and float. I'll float faster away.
Maybe I'll get stuck here.
I wouldn't complain. I sure as hell would not complain.
I'd be going fishing. I'd be definitely biting a swim jig in the rain.
Is that when they like? Maybe they're holding out on us.
No, ideal. It's sunny with some wind. That's best conditions.
Sunny with wind for a swim jig.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Why sun? Do you think? Puts them closer to targets.
Yeah.
It's because it's a target technique.
It sucks them into the high percentage places in the grass.
That makes actually perfect sense, because like a Minnesota swim jig technique would probably be a better cloudy one.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
if you could but that grass is matted up, and like it makes perfect sense. Well, Gill-Daddy, I just want you to know, I'm rooting for you to go back to back this year in the Classic. Wouldn't that be crazy?
It would be crazy.
I know you put in the work, so I just hope it's meant to be for you. And I guess you not only would you'd be the first person from Minnesota to do it, and one of few people in the world to do it twice in a row. I feel like you're poised to do this one. I feel like you're well poised for this one. I feel like you're my obvious pick because I know who the hell you are. I feel like Koya could do good.
100%.
I feel like he's a sleeper pick.
Definitely.
And then Fighter's like my dirty largemouth sleeper pick.
If there's some rain in the forecast the week leading up, I'd put Fighter in the fantasy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd probably put him in the fantasy regardless.
He's
the biggest sleeper scoper. I don't care what anyone says, that man can scope.
Dude, he plays so dumb with it too.
He does. There's so many guys on tour that do it too.
You talk to him, you think it'd be looking at it for the first time, but
No.
God, no. Don't get it twisted. He can scope with the best of them. Don't forget, dude, he's the guy. Like, people forget. Even him, he forgets how good he is at adapting to technology and fishing. Like, don't forget the guy who taught the world how to 2D boulders.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, you're watching a dude use 2 different technologies to its ultimate precision. And 3 different technologies to get to that point.
In like 5-foot waves.
In 5-foot waves. and freaking scraping the side of a boulder with your weightless Senko on a drop shot
Drop it down, back off,
so painfully. Like, they don't want to bite. Like,
shake it for 5 minutes.
5 fucking minutes. 2 darts.
Yeah, fighter, I know you can scope.
We know you can scope, fighter.
Don't play dumb.
We know you can scope. We know it. I'm excited to watch this year. I'm excited. Just like with the Sabine, the world's going to get put in its place this year. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I forgot that would unfold that Sabine.
You fucking top 20'd it, Scoper. Let's ban live scope while all these scopers top 10 the Sabine.
I'm still so upset.
Why?
I have a dead fish and missed it by 3 ounces. I caught enough to make top 10.
I know. But you can't change it.
No. Stupid.
Yeah. But here's the deal. 3 more ounces, you'd have proved the same damn thing to me that, guess what? You don't need that shit to catch a bass.
I want to go back there. This place is so fun.
Place looked fun. Looked challenging. Looked rivery.
I loved it.
It looks like I would love it. How Google Earthy was it? Like, know what I mean? Like when you can, like, there's places you can look at Google Earth and study and it helps you, and there's places it doesn't. And rivers can go either way, like depending on the river, how narrow it is, how it lays out.
It wasn't a place where I could find good looking stuff before I got there. It was after I found kind of what the deal was. Then I could look up. It wasn't even like water clarity or, stuff like that. It was just how areas set up and what I thought was going on under the water, probably.
Like more so how the water moved and
Yeah. It was all topographic. It wasn't like water stuff on Google Earth.
Yep.
So I really didn't even need it.
That's how lacrosse was for me. And I used to really be able to make Google Earth work for me, and lacrosse this year was very much what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I'm tired.
Yep.
You're tired.
Big travel day, guys, tomorrow.
Big travel day, guys, tomorrow. If you're in the Kansas City area, you've missed the boat show by the time this podcast comes out.
Maybe I'll still be in Washington. We'll see.
By the time this podcast comes out, I hope you're not in Washington, because it will mean that something happened.
You think I'll be on Gunnersville yet?
Dane's will come out, then Luke, then yours. When's Gunnersville from now?
3 weeks.
Possibly. Be during or the week after. That's bad timing, isn't it? Fate will unfold. I was talking shit for you. No pressure, bro. I can cut that out.
Yeah, I cut all of it.
If you
just cut the whole thing.
Easton Fothergill is going to top 10 Gunnersville. I'll
All
cut it
right.
out if you don't. I'll cut it out if you don't.
All right.
But if you do, that's some voodoo shit.
That'd be cool, but you might have messed up. But if I do, this would be a good ending to the pod right here.
Yeah. If he does, you get to listen to that. If he doesn't, guess what? Only we got to hear it.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Unless timing works out where Cole gets it done before Gunnersville, in which case I don't know what to do then. And I don't think I'll even bring it up to you, because you don't need that kind of shit in your head. The good news is you'll forget about this by the time you reach Washington, I bet.
Nah, I don't think that.
I feel bad then for bringing it up.
All right. Time for bed.
All right. This is Teal's Bass Galaxy with Gill-Daddy, a.k.a. Easton Fothergill, a.k.a. Gill-Daddy. Don't you forget it. Checking in. Checking out.